Hello, bookworms, bibliophiles, and lovers of all things literature. Welcome to the next chapter of the Braless Book Guild podcast, where we discard our bras and pick up the remote to talk about books both published and unpublished. We are your hosts, Jenna, that's me, Marissa, hello, and Megan.
Hi.
Before we get started, Marissa, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Apple Orchard, which is a tea that Megan brought for me today.
It's from Bigelow, which is, I think, one of my favorite tea brands.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's delicious. I finally got to taste it just now because I've been waiting for it to cool down.
And Megan, what about you?
I am drinking the Steeped in Folklore tea, which is from one of the Owl Crate boxes. I don't remember when it came out, but yeah, it's very good.
I too am drinking that, actually. Megan brought it and I smelled it and was like, I must try this. And I am so glad I did. It is pretty much heaven in a cup. So now I'm going to need to find a way to buy it.
Yeah, we're going to have to splurge on that.
Yes. Okay, so for today's podcast, what we are talking about are books that were adapted into film, whether it's TV shows or movies, and what was done well, what wasn't done well, what we love about it, what we hate about it. So let's delve right in. What are some of your favorite book to movie adaptations, guys?
I think, did we all write down lists? Because I definitely have a list now.
She pulled it from her pocket. Yep.
I
just
have a
produced it
list.
from nowhere. I found that I like the ones where I watch the movie first and then I read the book.
Oh,
because I don't have the expectations
Yeah, that's
going
true.
into it. So typically when I read the book first and then I go watch the movie, I'm like, that's not how I pictured it. That's not how I pictured it. And I get very critical. But if I watch the movie first and then I go into the book while I'm reading the book, I get that like little bit extra that I didn't get from the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of how I like it.
Kind of a good way to go in. So what's your... Okay, let's say favorite then. What's your favorite adaptation? Either show or movie.
I didn't write it down in any particular order, to be fair.
I didn't either, so it'll take me a minute to think of mine too.
The first one I did write down, I will say, is the fried green tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe.
I didn't know that was a book.
I
Oh my
do. I have
gosh.
the book if you want to borrow it.
Oh, goodness. Oh, Kathy Bates is like one of my all-time favorite actresses. Anything she's in, I will watch.
Yes.
Speaking of Misery, I'm gonna add that to my list.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite movies growing up, and I mean, I think it was a lot of lesbians that didn't know they were lesbians when they were young watching that growing up. And let me tell you guys, if you haven't read the book is much gayer.
Oh,
Like-
even better.
It's slightly more explicit, I would say, than the movie, but like even the movie, they really hint at it. Like,
Yeah.
they strongly hint at it. But I don't know, the book, like I said, it was the movie plus some, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you. I can't read a book and then directly watch a movie. If I do that, I'm just sitting in there comparing it too
Yeah.
much. And I either like the ones where enough time has passed between reading the book that I can watch the movie, and it's almost like a refresher of the book. And I'm like, oh, I'm not sitting there going, they missed that part and they missed that part, and how dare they?
Yeah.
Like, so I need a little bit of time. Or I like the ones where I watch the movie first and then the book. Or like my favorite Shadow and Bones, they completely just threw out the books.
Oh, gosh.
But like,
okay,
I loved it. I think it was perfect. I think that I loved that about it, that they use the books as like building blocks for the shows. It's not a perfect adaptation of either, which I liked.
agree. And I think the fact that they combined Six of Crows to Shadow and Bone as well.
Yeah.
They were just like, okay, yeah, let's just combine these together. I like that they took Six of Crows and combined it with Shadow and Bone together to make this cohesive story where it's kind of involved. And granted, like you said, they did the building blocks. I thought they did a good job. I still haven't finished season 2 because I didn't want it to end and I heard a lot of negative things.
Yeah.
But I do want to finish it because I want them to do season 3.
Yeah, I think I like all of it. I like the way they did it. There's some negative things, but enough time, like I said, had passed between me reading the book Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone. So I was able to have that like memory jog. And also it wasn't just the perfect retelling where I was like, wait, they did that wrong. How could they have done this wrong? And they got to put the characters together, which I think is really cool. So
Yeah.
I like when they purposefully aren't exactly like the book, or when I've had enough time to not nitpick.
I think with that one in particular, because I never read the Shadow and Bone series, I wasn't interested in watching it when I first heard about it, and then you're like, oh no, it's got Six of Crows in it, don't worry, you'll still like it. And so I was able to watch it, and I enjoyed it, I really did, and it was cool to get that story that like I missed because they mention it a few times in the Six of Crows books, but it was like I didn't have my Six of Crows story. It was like they were sharing the screen, and so
Right,
that
yeah.
kind of upset me a little bit.
It was mostly like the prequel parts, like all the backstories of the Six of Crows characters, and then season 2 I think is supposed to be about the actual Six of Crows book.
A little bit. They just
Okay.
introduced more of the characters,
Oh, okay.
I think, and that
Wait, they didn't do the heist then?
No.
no,
What?
But
okay.
I think that's
Oh my
coming in
gosh.
season 3.
That's kind of something they hint at, that they might be
thought-
going into it in season 3.
Yeah. Which I guess might be a spoiler if you're watching the show and haven't read the books, but I think, I don't know if it's a spoiler because we don't really know that it's going to actually happen, but
Right.
Yeah.
they kind of set it up at the end of season 2 to go into season 3 as more of the Six of Crows. So we'll see. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, and let's just talk about casting. It was
Yes.
so good in that.
Oh, I love
Everyone
it.
was so good.
Here's
Jesper?
Jasper was perfect.
Jasper.
I
Jasper.
No, It's Jasper. Jasper. and him.
J.E.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Jasper, you're right.
They the funny thing is with that one is like none of them are how I pictured them. Like, I mean, they were to an extent because they got that like general vibe of like what they all looked like. But when the actors actually started acting them out, I'm like, okay, that's how I pictured them.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how
Yeah.
I was when I first saw him. I was like, I guess that works for Kaz.
Yeah.
Yeah, she works for Inej. But it's like that's not how I had it in my mind necessarily. But then as soon as I saw them in the role, I was like, perfect.
Yeah,
Kaz,
they were
Kaz
so
is
good.
amazing.
So
like
good.
perfect. Jesper, loved him. Waylon, just little butterflies. And Nina, oh my god, I love Nina too.
Yeah, Nina
So-
was
Nina's great.
awesome. She was
Nina's-
so good.
Oh, wonderful. But yeah, so that's probably one of my favorites right now. Just because I loved the way they didn't just copy the books exactly, and I was able to appreciate both of them without being like, but they forgot this part that I liked and they forgot this. It's like,
But there are moments where if they don't follow
yes.
the main storyline, then it's just complete garbage.
Yes, you have to
Yeah.
have some of the main storyline in it a little bit. So
Looking at my list.
Well, what's your favorite then, Megan?
My favorite, okay, this is going off of kind of what you guys have just said. This one took the building blocks of the story and then just went with it and did amazing things, Stardust.
I love that book. I love that movie, and it made me want to read the book because I love the movie.
I love the movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I rewatch it, even on Korean TV. It was on Korean TV all the time. Like, it was Stardust, Shawshank Redemption, and The Fifth Element for some reason.
That's
Which are all 3 of my favorite movies. So I never complained. But that one is nothing like the book at all. And I read the book, and I think I went in because I love the movie so much and read the book. I was so disappointed with the book. I didn't like how I don't know. It started off like he wanted to write an adult fairy tale, so it had some spicy scenes in it, but then the writing style felt very like almost middle school, like not even like
Yeah.
middle grade, not even a young adult. So I didn't like that part.
could
Plus
see
the
that.
casting in that one is just also phenomenal. Robert De Niro, thank you.
Yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer, oh yeah.
Perfect. I loved that movie.
I actually never saw that movie nor read that book, so
We should have a viewing party.
We
It is
should.
so good.
I love that movie.
It
It's
is
such a
so
good,
good.
movie. For me, I was thinking kind of on the opposite end of this. I watched Princess Bride a million times.
Oh yeah.
A million times. And then last year, I read the book for the first time. The book reads exactly like the movie.
Exactly.
Exactly like the movie. So it's like you can't it's like reading your favorite movie. It's so perfect. I loved it. So it's like on the opposite side of that, they did it so well that it was like I didn't feel like I was missing anything.
I'm looking up the director because I'm pretty sure the director, Rob Reiner, yes. Okay. Rob Reiner does literally all of my favorite movies. He did, and he just makes great adaptations. So he did The Princess Bride. He did Stand By Me, which is a Stephen King short story. He also did Misery, which is another one of my favorite movies. And yeah, he did all of these and they're like really good. So Rob Reiner, great job.
You're doing wonderful. Wonderful work out there.
I was just going to say on something that I think followed the source material really well. Now, only in the first season for the first book is Game of Thrones.
It's on my list.
Yeah. So when I watched the first season first and I got a little bit into the second season, I'm like, you know what? I want to read the book. So I went and read the first book and I was like, wow, I just watched this and I'm just rereading it as a recap before I go into season 2 because it just felt like it followed it so well. The Song of Ice and Fire, whatever the first book is, I can't remember. And it was like a copy and paste, I think.
Exactly. Well, I think what they did was they took like the main meat of the story and all the superfluous stuff they just did not include.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like they took the really good stuff and then they made the show, and that's what people wanted. That's all they wanted was just the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's almost exactly what happened with me too. I watched the or actually it was funny because I read the first book. My friend's like, you must read this book before you start the show. And so I started reading the book and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much stuff. I feel like I just want to watch the first episode so I have an idea of what's going on with these casts. And then I watched the first episode and I was like, well, that was like the first chunk of the book. So I'm just gonna watch the show. And I think I like tried to follow along with the book, but they did so well that it was like I felt like I was just giving myself bad deja vu watching it. Like, oh, I just read this and now I'm watching it again. But because of that, I didn't actually finish the books. I never finished the books because I just ended up watching all the shows, and I was like, maybe I'll go back and finish them. I've heard that the books are better than the show.
They diverge a lot. Yeah, I think it's like season 3 or 4 that it like just completely diverges from the books.
Well, at a certain point, they had to start making it up.
Yeah, I don't remember if there's 4 or 5 books out. It's been a hot minute since they came out, but the show definitely diverges. Obviously, they kind of again kept the meat of the story, but they took out so much stuff later on, and I don't know why, but we just won't even talk about the last season.
Yeah, we pretend that didn't exist. We need some good fan fiction to cover that up. I've heard that there's like a podcast or something out there.
Yeah, I was
Where
the
they
one that
watch
told you
it,
about
or-
that.
Where's
No, where
that?
they rewrite it. So it's like a play.
Wait, the show or the movie or the book?
last season of the show. Like
I
they
need to
did a
listen to
radio.
this. I have so
play.
many.
I'll look it up and we'll either link it or whatever we can do to help people find it because I can't remember off the top of my head. But so it's really good. I think it was made during quarantine, so the like different
lot of
audio
time.
qualities it varies a lot. But once you get past that, like it's kind of really well done, and they like make a joke at a certain point where like they without any spoilers, they have a plan that they do in the last season, and everybody's like, "That's the stupidest plan." This person who's very clever and wise would know that this is a stupid plan, and so they even in the like new season go, "That's dumb. Why would we do that?" Just completely throws it out the window.
I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I think that certain books, especially if they're series, have to be done as shows. It's hard to get enough of the story in a movie because movies are too short and books are way too long. And if you try to do it as a movie, you just miss so much of it. The ironic part for me is as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about the fact that we've talked about my thing with Cassandra Clare and how I watched the first movie and that made me end up getting into the books, and the movie like did horrible and they never made a second movie, and they made a show and the show is awful.
But people love the movie
Oh
more
my
than they
God.
love the show, it seems.
The
At least
show was better.
from that I talked to, yeah.
The show is so horrible. And I did not finish it. I watched a couple episodes and couldn't even get into it because I was like, this is really awful. It looks like they just wrote on them with markers and sent them out there and said, please pretend to act. Be these characters.
Just imagining that happening. Oh my gosh.
I hated it. I hated the show. And then from what I've heard, it doesn't even follow the storyline. So like they have like pieces of the storyline, but I was like, well, there's really nothing going for this. I'm not going to continue to watch it. But now I feel like maybe one day I have to force myself because can I really call myself a Cassandra Clare fan if I haven't at least watched it?
Right.
I think the thing with what happened with the movie is what happens with people that read the first book without having the next books as context is like you get to the end and you get to that spoiler and that weird twist and you're like, why would I watch any more movies about this, and why would I read any more books about this unless you're a weirdo like Jenna who wants to figure out the mystery?
Unless there's Jenna who goes, there's no effing way the author did that to me. Like,
And so I think that's what happened with the movie. And then the books became popular because people found out what the actual reasoning was behind it.
Right.
And that's why they're like, okay, well, the movie flopped. Maybe we make it a TV show and we just make sure that nothing weird actually happens in this, or at least put it on a network where weird things like that is kind of okay and we'll figure it out.
Well, it worked out because they got, what, 3 seasons? Or
God, I don't even know. It's funny because those are one of my favorite books. And my mother and sister-in-law who don't like read ever. Well, my mother-in-law does read, but she just doesn't get as into it. They loved the show. And I was just like,
it's so corny.
it's like the corniest and the worst. But they're movie people and they're TV people. Like their whole family would sit around and watch TV and movies and stuff together. And I used to not even like going to the movies until I like met Jelani. And like I'd go to movies, but I'd be like, I don't really care. Now I'm like a movie person. So.
Oh God, I love movies.
But
you know what I
story person.
don't like?
Bad
Percy
movies?
Jackson movies.
But we will see.
Maybe the show is better. Maybe
The
it's
show
the
has
opposite.
to be better. It can't do worse than the movies. Here's the basic plot line of the movies. There are 10 books. Actually, okay, technically for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, there are 5. So they took and they made the first one, and they made Percy, who's supposed to be 10 or 11. And they took a 25-year-old actor who I will say was a great Percy. He did okay. They took him, and then they were just like, yeah, okay, you're now a high school kid, and by the way, go and do this stuff. And the first one honestly wasn't that, no, it was still pretty bad. I actually rewatched it over the weekend because it was on Disney Plus, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna prepare for this episode and suffer. I did not pay attention at all. But then they decided, oh, this did really well, so here's what we're gonna do. We know we're not gonna do that well again to make 5 whole movies, so we're gonna take the first half of the second book and then the last half of the 5th book and shove them together and give you the ending you deserve. And it was not the ending we deserved.
Oh, no.
There is so much character growth between the first book and the 5th book. Obviously, he's 17 or 16? 17 by the end of the 5th book. He's aged up.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot that happens, but they just, oh, it was so bad. Even
I'd be
Uncle
like
Rick.
doing that with Harry Potter or something, where he starts off as an 11-year-old and then ends up as like an 18-year-old.
Right.
They honestly, Harry Potter, they did a good job with the movies to the book adaptation.
They were pretty good.
Yeah.
They were pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Overall, there's things that they missed. There's things that went on. But
since it's a movie, like you said earlier,
yeah, you're gonna miss
you can't
things.
help it. Yeah.
But at least they had an 11-year-old playing
Playing
an
an
11-year-old. It
yeah.
wasn't like, okay, we're going to put this 25-year-old as an 11-year-old, and over the course of 8 years, they won't age at all. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is how it should be. If you have a book series, don't make the series they're supposed to be 11 for 500 seasons.
That
Remain 11.
That was another one, Harry Potter, is where I started the movies first and then went to the book.
Oh.
And it's so nice when you go to the books after watching the movies because you're like, oh, look, of all this bonus content, like
Right.
peeves. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's why I prefer it, is that pleasant surprise of, oh, look, I get all of this other stuff I never would have known before, instead of me going to the movie and be like, yeah, but they forgot this. Yeah, they forgot that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I mean, for me, I read the Harry Potter books first, but I read the first one so long before the movie came out, and then I watched the movie again, and then that's what got me into it again to finish them. Growing up the way Marissa and I did, with a very restrictive religion, Harry Potter was a big no-no.
Yeah.
Growing up.
I never knew
So,
that.
yeah.
I just assumed that you guys were...
No.
Did we not
was-
talk about it in high school?
Probably not. I didn't really
Well,
talk
you-
much about growing up in that religion. I'm gonna leave it out. But there's certain things that almost anything in pop culture, popular, it becomes worldly, and you're not allowed to like be a part of it. And obviously Harry Potter uses magic, and therefore is very demonic, and you're not allowed to read or watch that. And then when I like diverged from that religion, it was like, oh, this world of magic and happiness that I get to jump into for the first time, even though it's been out since I was probably, God,
We were 11.
I was gonna say we were like the age.
Yeah.
So
We literally grew up with it.
Exactly. What are some other bad adaptations, guys?
So I wanted to actually ask Marissa this because you had mentioned in a previous episode that you didn't really care for the adaptation of Good Omens.
Yes.
And so I'd like to just hear your thoughts because as I said in that episode as well, the book just didn't click with me. I didn't quite get it, but I also didn't quite get the show, honestly. And I don't know if it's just that kind of humor that doesn't resonate well with me, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts on it are.
My main thing, and granted, I will preface this by I didn't finish. I'm like not caught up on the show. I didn't even finish the first season because when I went into it, I was very excited for it. And I did have like a gap of I didn't read the book. Like I'd read the book a few years back and then the show was coming out. And I'm like, oh, good enough gap that I'm not going to be comparing it side by side, like detail by detail. And I think the reason I was so excited was because it was David Tennant, and I love David Tennant.
Love him.
And I'm like, he's gonna make a great Crowley, and this is gonna be great. And it did kind of the thing that you guys were talking about, where it diverged a lot to try to not be exactly like the book.
Oh, okay. So it took like the Shadow and Bone route.
Yeah, kind of. And there were parts of it that I really liked. Like I loved the Horsemen of Death and everything like that because they come in play. But I think the book was just way better because there's certain things when you read that type of book, like certain themes and stuff like that just doesn't translate well to screen.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I think that's what it came down to, was that I was trying to, like, I read that book and I was like, that was really clever, that was really funny, or that was really, like, not necessarily cinematically portrayed in my mind, but more, like, intellectually portrayed in my mind, if that makes sense. And I don't think that translates well to on screen.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't like about it. I think there's certain books that I read, and when I read it, I can see a movie as I'm reading it, and ones that like I read, and as I read, it just sticks with me, and that's one that just stuck with me rather than played out as a movie.
I do know a lot of other people really enjoyed it. So that's why I put it kind of in the middle, because I know you had said that you're honestly one of the first people I've heard that didn't care for it, but your reasoning sounds very sound, like it makes sense. So
it makes me wonder if the people that enjoyed it aren't lovers of literature as much. They might be like more like, oh, I occasionally read a book, but it's more like I like books, but I like books and movies. They're not going to compare and contrast it the way we would.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that like it liked the characters in it a lot, which is completely understandable. It has great characters. And so seeing those characters portrayed on screen, specifically Aziraphale and Crowley, is amazing. And the two actors do an amazing job. I will give them that. It's definitely like, I wish I was into it because they do such a good job. And like the tone of it matches really well. Like the humor and the tone of it match really well, of kind of that dry British type humor.
yeah.
But I think it was less for them. It was less of like I really enjoyed the overall like commentary of religion and life in general.
Yeah.
And more of like, these characters are really funny.
That's all philosophical, so it's hard to portray, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. One that I didn't really care for, that I was pretty excited for, was Everything by Nicola Yoon, the book.
I didn't watch the movie.
We watched the movie. My friends and I had like a books to movie adaptation party in Korea. And it was really fun up until there was like a 5-minute intimate scene between the main characters who are supposed to be 16. And it made me so incredibly uncomfortable because it just kept going. And I understand that there are 16-year-olds out there that are, doing adult things, but I don't want to watch it on TV. That is just my personal opinion. Everyone is entitled if they're okay and not uncomfortable with that. I was severely uncomfortable with it. So I was disappointed. It was also very, very artsy. Like the director wanted to go for a very artsy kind of feel to it. And to me, that just came out as boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, the actors in it were actually really good. I think it has Love Simon. Ooh, the guy who played Love Simon. Love Simon was a really good adaptation, I think. Love Simon, and then what's her name from Rue from Hunger Games?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So they basically, I think it was those two. I might be getting my books to movies mixed up, but Hunger Games, also a great one.
Amazing. I love the Hunger Games movies. They did a really good job with those, I think.
I agree.
They didn't need to split this last one into
They really
two
didn't.
movies.
They had to follow the Harry Potter trend.
It was the thing. You know who didn't do that and did such a great job? Lord of the Rings.
True.
Oh, the best trilogy of all time.
Speaking of Rue from Hunger Games, she did The Hate You Give.
Yes.
And I loved that movie.
Yes.
And I loved the book too. I liked the book so much that when it came out, I like pulled my husband and my mom and her husband, and we all went and watched it. And both my mom and I, our husbands are African American, so it hit closer to home for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember liking it so much, I was trying to get them to read it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure." And it went on their list of like, "Yeah, one day we'll read it." And then I took them to see the movie, and both of them were like, "Do you still have that book?" I was like,
You gave me the book.
I think I gave it to you, so you have it. And I was like, we can get it for you. And I don't know if my mom and
I'll give it back.
But I think Shalani read it. I don't remember. He liked it a lot though. But it hit close to
I
home.
cried so hard in that movie.
Yeah.
It is so, they do it in such a way that really just tears your heartstrings apart. It is such like, it's beautifully done, but heartbreaking.
Totally. But she's an amazing actress. Phenomenal.
I'd watch anything she's in.
Yeah, she's wonderful. On a little bit of a different note, actually completely different note, I have 2 books, and it's funny because these 2 books that I love the most, both are movies, and they're both the rom-com books. They're like my 2 favorite rom-com books.
Oh.
And Megan's looking at me because she knows.
I know.
The first one's Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella, and they made a movie.
Did they make a movie?
Yeah, I just
did
watched
not
it with
know
my
that.
mom last year, and
It's awful.
so forgettable. I just realized when you brought it up, I was like, oh, right, it was a movie, and my mom and I watched it.
Isn't
and it was
the main girl from Percy Jackson? Didn't she play
Oh, is it
Annabelle?
her?
I don't know. I think it is.
You're right.
But oh my god, it was horrible. It was awful. And that's a perfect
So forgettable.
book to make into a movie. It was like such a cute, like, there's almost nothing in that book that you couldn't have done on film. The way they like described it, and so often in books, like there's things that you just can't portray well live action. It was just, it played out in your head like a movie, and the movie was horrible. Everything about it was awful. And the other one is The Hating Game.
Yep.
And I loved that one. I thought they did so well with that one.
I didn't think the main actor and actress had chemistry, so I didn't really care for that part. But I thought the characters that they hired, I guess is that what you call it? They did a great job.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think there was a chemistry between them.
Yeah, I think they played the parts perfectly. There wasn't anything really missing. They didn't change from the storyline. The chemistry could have been better between the 2 actors, but
other than that, like the lipstick,
the lipstick was perfect. They did everything in the book that you needed in the movie. That was like, it was great. It was a great adaptation, and I was just like, it's amazing that those are my 2 like favorite rom-com books, probably of all time, and they're the 2 opposite ends of the spectrum of putting them for movies.
So for negative ones, not so good. I have Dune on here, mostly because I read the book. It took me like a year and a half to read the book fully because it was so boring for me. And I love sci-fi. Like, I am such a huge fan of sci-fi. And then the movie came out and I was so bored in the movie. So maybe it's actually a great adaptation, honestly, if it's so boring.
It matches.
That's another one that they're splitting into 2. And they had to have Zendaya in the first one in order for her to like promote the movie. And so there were just a lot of moments where they're just like longingly looking at each other, but it's all in his head.
Yes.
It's like visions.
I was just like,
what's the point?
I didn't even read the book, and I watched the movie, and I was like, well, now I don't even want to read the book.
No. The book has a lot more like political intrigue. And it is pretty intriguing. I just thought the movie was so boring.
All of it was boring. Okay, I'm watching this movie, and like 90% of the plot is just him seeing Zendaya in his head, just staring at him.
So the movie was like 3 hours and 10 minutes. And I was like, if they just cut all of those vision scenes, the movie would be a decent, like, 2-hour movie.
And we'd probably care about the plot a little more.
Exactly. You don't need to bring Zendaya in. Never mind. You can always have Zendaya.
There's no reason not to have Zendaya, I guess.
She's another one.
I have not seen the movie, and that's the only reason why I would watch the movie right now.
She's the only reason to watch the movie.
That was probably most of the reason why I watched the movie. I love Zendaya.
I was just going to bring up, I don't know if either of you read or watched, I think it's Aragon? The Dragon.
No!
I'm talking about that adaptation.
Okay. I have history with Aragon. I remember there was this whole thing. So he was a 16-year-old author, was published at 16.
Oh, yeah.
And in high school, that's all I wanted. Was just to be a published author. Still working towards it. And I was so jealous of that. So I read Aragon and I was just like, this is garbage. This is absolute garbage. Granted, as also a fellow 16-year-old, my stuff was garbage too. So I understand that young Megan was misled in her judgments because my stuff was also not very good. But then he got a movie. And so 2 of our high school friends went with us to the movie and we all walked out of there like, none of this made any sense. Like Rachel Weisz is the actress, the voice actress of, what was her name? Sapphire? Saphira?
Yeah, something like that.
The
It's
dragon.
been so long.
And like there's at one point where the dragon is like a little hatchling and then she flies up into the sky, gets electrocuted by lightning or something, or does she just go poop poop pew and then suddenly she's a full-fledged dragon? Like they missed all of the training and the like them becoming like close with each
Yeah,
other and
creating that
understanding each
bond.
other. Yeah. And maybe I'm getting my dragon books mixed up. Could they communicate with each other?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they could communicate with each other.
Okay.
It's been a long time because I remember I read that book back when I was like 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember how old I was. I really liked it. And then the movie came out and I was like, oh, this is what it's like to watch a movie of a book you really liked and it sucks.
It's a canon event.
Yes.
I was
Everyone goes through it.
that was the one for me where I was like, oh, I really like this book, you know, like this connection that he has with this dragon and they build this bond and it's really cool. And like none of that was in the movie. And I was like,
Oh, the movie flopped so
Oh.
hard. But what was interesting was I have heard people say like the first book is just your cliche hero's journey, orphan child,
Yeah.
Star Wars, Harry Potter kind of thing. But once it gets to like season book 2 or book 3, it like picks up and it becomes its own thing and it's like very good. I've heard that. And Murtaugh just came out. I don't know if it's a point of view from, it was like his best friend, brotherly character who turned out to be evil.
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, Murtaugh just came out.
I just remember, I don't even know if I ever finished the actual book like series.
Yeah.
It
It did take a long time between books for them to come out.
yeah, and I mean he was 16 years old. It was gonna
Yeah.
take a while.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing with me, where like I read the book, I'm like, "That's really great." They're like, "Yeah, it's like a teenager that wrote that," and I'm like, "What?
Yeah,
I
it's
want to write books."
Yeah, I think that we all, when that happened, you're like, what? I can be a teenager and write books, and I could I could be a published author. This is the most amazing thing ever. And then we all realize now we're no longer teenagers, and we're still working on it. We're gonna
We're
get
working
there. It's
on
gonna
it.
happen.
Yeah,
Still doing
It's
it.
fine.
We're writing books.
It's fine. For me, I think that like, gosh, what was my first like book? What was the first one that you had that you looked at and you were like, I love this book, and you watched the movie, you're like, why did I just watch that movie?
I honestly cannot remember.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head which my first one was. Marissa, you are doing better than us.
Well, I was a little bit older probably than you guys were when you realized.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I
It's
don't know.
possible.
Maybe Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Maybe. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty good adaptation.
Yeah.
I never read that book.
Yeah, Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was curious. This is off topic, but Megan and I talk about Mike Flanagan's
Oh.
universe.
Oh, Mike Flanagan.
I
love
it.
all of his stuff, but I'm curious how much of the like source material that you've actually read.
0. I actually just on Libby, I'm getting the like collection of Poe stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's coming in like a couple days. Maybe,
Maybe.
hopefully. But yeah, I do actually want to. I do know that the Haunting of Hill House is completely different.
Yeah,
You have read
of
them all?
All of them are very different. Hill House I didn't read before I watched the show, and I started the book. I don't think I ever finished the book, honestly. Not because it was bad. I started it at a bad time. Bly Manor is interesting because it's based off of
The Turning of the Screw.
Turning of the Screw, which is a very short book, but I think it was really good the way they did it.
It was amazing.
Because it's like, it's all there. Like, everything that happens in that book happens in the series. It's just
Oh.
more.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's about this au pair that comes and takes care of these kids, and these creepy things are happening around these kids, and there's the uncle, and it's interesting. I think the thing I like about Mike Flanagan's universe is that he takes the story and he still has the story in there. He just adds on to it
Yeah.
and makes it modern.
I
And-
don't even like scary things, but I love those shows. Like,
it's so
I'm
good.
so sad right now that I haven't watched The Fall of the House of Usher, but it's really hard to put that on when you have a less than 1-year-old in the house
Right.
that's with you at every waking moment. So
So the really interesting thing about The Fall of the House of Usher is that each episode is one of his short stories.
I want to watch it.
And then the
It's so
entire
good.
season is The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like snippets from everything. And then like little bits. Yeah, here and there.
Yeah.
That's why I really want to reread everything and then rewatch it so I can be like, okay, match it all up.
Yeah.
So how many nightmares am I willing to put up with for
There's
this?
actually,
Because-
so I feel like Fall of the House Usher, it has its moments, but I won't say it's horror. I'd say it's more thriller.
I think Fall of the House of Usher is the worst of his three for Jenna.
Ah, okay. Do you have a issue with like body gore and because that
There's a
some...
bit. I think there's a bit more like jump scares in that.
Really?
Not a lot, but well, you think of Hill House as all just it's just creepy in the background. Other than the bent neck lady,
there's one jump scare.
there's like
when
one
they're in
jump
the car.
scare. Yeah,
in
and
the car, that was
And the
everything
bent neck
else
lady
was
is pretty. Yeah.
all just like background ghosts that were creepy,
Mhm.
which I think is what Jenna was okay with. She's like, yeah, that was creepy, but like I could put it out of my mind. Where I feel like this one has a lot more jump scares because you think about every episode, there's kind of
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I
I
guess
do
you're
know
right.
Poe, so I mean, I know how Poe works, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think that I put it on while my child to sleep. Like, am I willing to deal with the nightmares of watching it at night?
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe.
We'll see. I also think because he also did Gerald's Game, which is Stephen King, and that one was really good. He also
Dr.
did Doctor Sleep, which I
Dr.
just
Sleep
recently
is my
watched.
favorite.
Dr. Sleep was done in such an interesting way in that he combined Stephen King. So if anyone knows the difference between, here we go, The Shining, the movie The Shining is just a completely different than the actual book.
Yeah.
And Stephen King has said it's one of his least favorite, and he's had some pretty bad adaptations out there. He said it's his least favorite only because it was just done in however Stanley Kubrick just wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But the way that Mike Flanagan took Dr. Sleep was he took like the parts from the book and the parts from the movie Shining and combined them together to make something that is just like it's a sequel to both. And it's so interesting because I looked up like the differences and everyone was like, he actually did a good job. Even Stephen King said it's not that bad and it actually makes the Shining movie a little bit better.
To be fair, what I heard was Stephen King didn't actually want to write Dr. Sleep. It was kind of
he
brought out of
didn't?
him. That's
Wait,
what I
wasn't
hear,
there a
but I don't
vote?
know.
There was a vote where he was like, what should I write next?
Yeah.
A sequel to the... And he's like, I'm not actually going to do it. And everyone's like, wait, then why did you tell us to vote? And he's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of like I don't think Stephen King put that much into it, but I think Mike Flanagan put more into it to make The Shining make more sense, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's, like you said, it missed a lot of stuff from the book. So it's like, hey, let me explain what's missing and make it interesting. And, cast some hot actors and actresses
I was
in it
going to
as
say
well.
Ewan McGregor, so...
Yeah. See, I like, what's her face? I can't remember the actress's name off the top of my head.
Was
but
she the
Rose
top hat
Hat
lady? Yeah. She was pretty attractive.
Yeah.
That'd be weird if she was interested in Ewan McGregor. Like, well, we found the
Hey,
one.
I could find men attractive without being attracted to them.
It's true. It's true. You can't.
Also, we raised her on Moulin Rouge.
That's true. We did.
So
you should
have-
have a little
I-
bit of Ewan McGregor in there.
we have a
But I
special
was not
memory.
looking at him during Moulin Rouge.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
That's all fair.
I also agree with you.
I was gonna say I think we all were looking at Nicole Kidman too.
Especially in that red dress, man.
Oh,
Okay,
beautiful.
back on topic. I have two interesting kind of fun facts for this. So there are two movies on my list where the authors themselves have come together and said the movie actually did better on my books, and that is Fight Club. I don't know the author's name.
Chad
Chuck?
something sounding Russian kind
Yes.
of, but I don't know.
Yeah. So he came out and said they did Fight Club in such a way that made it better. And then the other one is American Psycho, which I also don't know the author of that. So I had a discussion at work the other day where I was just like, what are your guys' favorite adaptations? And fun fact about American Psycho, it was actually adapted by women.
Oh.
Like it's a female director and it's a female writer. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And they basically made, what's his name? Bateman. What's
Norman
the
Bates? I don't know.
Was that his?
I
Norman
don't
Bates?
know.
The
Norman
character's
Bates
name, right?
is Psycho.
Psycho?
But, like actual Psycho. I
Patrick
don't know.
Bateman.
Okay.
Patrick Bateman, I think, is the character's name.
I know nothing about American Psycho, so I was basing it all off of Psycho. What's it called?
Wait,
Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman. Okay. Yeah, Patrick Bateman. And so they wanted to basically just make him a farce of the men of that era. And I thought they did a pretty good job.
Fight Club is also another one that I watched first, and I really, really loved the movie.
Yeah.
And then I read the book, and I wouldn't say, like, I mean, obviously, author knows better, but I wouldn't say the movie did better, but I would say it did something that I don't think Good Omens did, where I got the philosophical part of it.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
So watching the movie, I got the philosophical part of it, and it was so good to me, and I loved how it made me think.
Right.
And so reading the book, I got a second chance at that.
Yeah.
So I think it did a good job. I think they were different enough for me not to be like, oh, this is the exact same thing I'm reading over again, but similar enough that I got the same feeling from them.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was kind of looking over at your list and it popped out to me Vampire Diaries.
So this is what someone else read. I am currently in the middle of watching it, and I have not, but I heard the books are garbage.
I hated the books. I hated them so much. Let me just be very angry for a moment. I hated them. I watched the shows when we were in high school. God, were we in high school or just out of high school? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it started 2009. So
Yeah, maybe just out of high school. And I loved them, and I was really hoping that it was going to be a Cassandra Clare thing where I was like, oh, I love these books. I'm going to read I love the show. I'm going to read the books, and the books are going to be even better. The books are garbage. I literally, I think I bought a 3-pack of them and was like, why did I do this to myself? I hated them so much. Whereas the show was amazing. I loved the show, and I watched all of it multiple times. So it's like one of my comfort shows that I can put on and just enjoy.
Oh, it's never ending too with all the spin-offs it has.
I know.
There's spin-offs?
Yeah.
There's a million spin-offs.
There's three spin-offs. There's the originals, which I actually loved better than the Vampire Diaries. It took me a minute to get into it, but it was better than the Vampire Diaries. And then now they have Legacies, which is a spin-off.
Dang.
It's like a sequel.
And there's 8 seasons, and I'm still only on season 2, and I started it last year when I moved back here.
Oh, you have such a journey.
I don't think I ever finished it. I remember I watched a lot of it. I watched it, I came in partway through with Jenna, because Jenna was watching it, I came in while she was on season 2 or 3 or something like that, and it was just one of those things where I sat with her while she watched it, and then slowly started getting invested in it, and then, I don't know, I was just trying to follow it, and I stayed with her for a while, and I think I was with her when it started coming out new again, and we're like, oh, let's go watch the Vampire Diaries, and then we stopped watching it together, and so I stopped watching it.
Yeah, we both stopped watching it, and it was funny because I didn't finish it for years. So it stopped coming out, and the originals was coming out, and I watched half of a season of the originals, and I was like, I'm not really that invested in it. And then I have a friend, Melody, and she was going through something. She's just watching it and binge watching it. She's like, oh my God, I just finished the Vampire Diaries. And I was like, oh, I never finished that. I should go watch it. And so I was having a hard time, and I'm like, I'm going to watch something, nostalgic that I can enjoy again. And so I put on the Vampire Diaries, and I was watching it when I got pregnant, and it was my hormones were a mess, and these things are happening in it. And at one point Marissa came out, and I'm bawling, and she goes, are you crying over the Vampire Diaries? And I was like, look, you don't understand what pregnancy does to you. And I am not a crier, guys. I don't cry.
I remember because Jenna came to me and she goes, pregnancy broke me. Mom broke me first, and then pregnancy broke me again. Because we don't cry. Our family does not cry. I could probably count all the times that we've cried. And
we're just not crying people. My mom was a very, suck it up, you'll be fine person. And so we just, never really were, criers. I've cried over, boys a handful of times, but, or, when you're in your good book and you're crying, but no one can see you and you have, your moment. But we're not crying people.
Oh God, I cry almost every day.
Oh man.
If I had to stop watching the dodo videos where they're all animal rescue, because I'm sitting over here oh, it's just they saved the penguin. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I had to stop.
Yeah.
It was too much.
I've had a
Now I
couple
am.
of things that I've cried at. There's one TV show that I cried at, and I'm not gonna go into it because it's not book related. But there's one that I cried at, and I remember my dad came in, and I was crying in my room, and he's like, "What are you crying at?" I'm like, "I'm crying at this." He's like, "Is that a cartoon?" I'm like, "Shut up, Dad."
Okay, you gotta tell us though. You can't leave us hanging. At least let's name what cartoon was it? Was it Naruto?
No, it was Fairy Tale, but it's that Fairy Tale Zero. So it's the origin season of Fairy Tale, and there was one thing that happened near the end that's a big spoiler, but then I started crying, and I was like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah, it's funny because now my husband gets really excited when I cry because it proves that I'm a real person. And so the other day, it was I teared up over something, and he took a picture as proof. And he's like, it happened. It's usually happy tears now because now that I'm a mom, it's happy tears all the time out of nowhere. And he's like, look, she has emotions.
To be fair, he just gets upset because you don't laugh at his jokes anymore.
That's true.
'Cause we don't really laugh either, like other than this. But like if somebody tells us a joke, we're like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Is that why whenever I come over and I laugh at his joke, he's always like, I appreciate
Oh,
you.
yes.
man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
appreciate you. Okay.
Yeah.
Jelani, if you're listening to this, I am here for you.
I'm here for the laughs.
Also, we have the same humor, so
Yes.
it works out.
Fair enough.
Okay, back on topic. I have another one. I just want to know, this is another kind of like little side note. Do you guys prefer the 1995 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice or the 2005 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice? This is a tough one because the 1995 version is 6 hours long,
Yeah.
but the 2005 version has Keira Knightley in it. So,
Colin Firth or Keira Knightley?
also the quote, "What excellent boiled potatoes. Never have I ever had a more exemplary vegetable."
I like both. I actually own both. And it just depends. If I want a nice long take me forever through all the beautiful worlds of Pride and Prejudice, then Colin Firth 100%. Keira Knightley is what I do when I just need a quick, like, I'm gonna be happy for a moment, put on my Pride and Prejudice. So I like both. I'm a fan of both. Marissa's gonna say I haven't watched either.
I haven't watched either. I am not a Pride and Prejudice person. I'm
not
not
really a
an
Jane Austen
person at all.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I was gonna do a Jane Austen murder mystery party. You'll be the murderer.
I'll take it. Jenna can't come now though because she'll know
She knows. She knows it.
It's just like your bridal shower, Jenna. I'm the murderer. Ironically, because I do like the My Lady Jane and all that stuff. I'm not a big like Jane Eyre, Jane Austen, like
Oh,
that
I don't like
kinda.
Jane Eyre.
I loved Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love Austen. Obviously, Emma's one of my favorites. Oh, Emma,
I was gonna
Clueless.
Clueless.
Okay, I got a whole thing of that like era of movies that came out based off of literature.
Hang on, what was the other one? How to Lose a Guy in... No, not How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. 10 Things I Hate
10
About
Ten Things
You.
I Hate
About
About
You.
You. She's the Man,
She
which
is-
is
she's the
my
man.
favorite Shakespearean
I-
play adaptation.
Beautiful. I love it.
It's-
You want to know how much I love this? I love Shakespeare adaptations and obviously Clueless and stuff like that, where it's very obviously literature, but it's such a pop culture reference that people don't know. And I blow people's minds all the time because I'm like, my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law are perfect examples. And they're like, oh my God, I totally want to watch She's the Man. And I'm like, oh, you mean 12th Night?
Yeah,
Like, what?
Well, that's my favorite one. My favorite Shakespearean play, and then She's the Man came out, and I watched it, and I never put two, like, at the time I was too young to put the two together, and then I watched it again when I was older, and I'm like, this is 12th, this is even, like, they have all the names, Marfolio, Sebastian, like,
I know, it was perfect. It was great. Clueless is another one that I got to be like,
it.
oh yeah, Emma. And then what was the other one? There was another
10
one
Things
that
I Hate
was
About You.
10 Things I Hate About You. I
Taming
got
of the
to-
Shrew.
Taming of the Shrew. There was another one specifically that they were talking about how much they liked it, and I was like, you do know it's this, right? And I'm like, oh, Shakespeare. Oh, that's Shakespeare.
The Lion King is
Lion
Hamlet.
King.
Yes,
Hamlet.
Lion King. Oh. Yeah, I don't know if you guys, Sons of Anarchy, I don't know if you've ever watched that. That's Hamlet too.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, there's just so many of them. And every time someone who doesn't read is like, I love this movie, I'm like, let me tell you where that came from. I love any fun little spin-offs, especially when they're not so obvious.
Yeah, especially when they're not obvious. That makes it kind of fun and exciting.
Yeah, I think, and there's a time and place for the ones that are obvious. Like, come on, I love the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet. Like, it's perfect. It's purposefully not directed in a way where it's trying to be Romeo and Juliet while still following the script of Romeo and Juliet. And I loved that. It's beautiful and perfect. They did a really good job of what is the one that I just recently watched with my good friend Robbie and Angela? Just recently watched it and I loved it. They did a great job.
What was it about?
It was a Shakespeare play.
It was it.
It was
Was it one
Midsummer?
of the?
Oh, was it the black and white one? Because
Yes!
yes, I know which one you're talking about. It's gonna drive me insane.
I know.
The one where they don't like each other. It's like Pride and Prejudice, but Shakespeare.
I don't know enough Shakespeare.
Oh God, not Midsummer. It's fudge. This is driving me insane. I can see it all. No, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's Joss Whedon.
Much Ado About Nothing.
Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh my god, I just had to look up Shakespeare plays.
What was the? Is it an actual adaptation, or
Yes,
is it?
It's the script. It like
Is that
follows the
Mila
script.
Jovovich? No.
No.
'Cause she
This
did
one
another one.
this one actually has Nathan Fillion in it.
If it's Joss Whedon,
Yeah.
of course there's Nathan Fillion.
Amy Acker is the girl.
It's great. It's amazing. They did a wonderful job. It's another one where it's set in a modern day kind of thing, but it's got the Shakespearean dialogue, and it's beautiful. I love it. Look that one up. That was great. My friend Robbie introduced us to it, and I loved it.
I still stand by the Helena Bonham Carter 12th Night is still good.
Oh, it's so good. I love that one too.
It's interesting because it starts out. It's the beginning of it's not part of the script, but all the rest of it is, and it made sense the way they did it at the beginning of it.
Right. I love 12th Night. That's one of my favorites too. I'm just a Shakespeare person. I love Shakespeare. So, all right.
All right, I have some just minor worthy mentions.
Worthy mentions.
I got a couple too.
So a couple of them are Pretty Little Liars. I heard is pretty good, and
I
it actually is
haven't read the
better
books.
than the show, or better than the books. This is from my coworkers.
Yeah.
So I really don't know since I haven't read or seen them. Wheel of Time I started, and I heard it took all the misogyny out and made it even better. So that's another one that people really enjoy the show. Also, the new Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, I hear that's good. I haven't.
I
Right.
haven't. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I've heard that one's good.
And then the last one, which is one of the early renditions, is To Kill a Mockingbird, which is actually one of my favorite movies. It's very good.
I don't know if I ever watched the movie, honestly. I remember reading the book because it was one of those, like, going into freshman year, I had to read like 4 different books before the year even
To
started.
Kill a Mockingbird was one of
To
them?
Kill a
Oh
Mock-
my god.
No,
Mine?
so To Kill a Mockingbird wasn't one of them, but I knew it was going to be on the syllabus later, so it was one of the ones I read that summer.
Okay.
So it was like, there were like 2 or 3 books that I had to read over
Yeah.
the summer, and then that one I was like, well, I know I'm going to have to at some point, so I put it on my list to read, and I remember reading it over that summer, and I'm like, I'm glad I just got this out of the way, not because it was a bad book, but because it was just not a book that I would have just picked up and read on my own.
Yeah.
And I definitely, if I had to have read it like when they assigned it in class, I never would have actually finished it.
I remember the 2 of the 3 that we had to read was Flipped, which has a movie adaptation that is phenomenal. It is so good. And Wallace Wallace. Was that what it's called? I know the character's
know
name.
either
Oh, No
one
More
of
Dead
those.
Dogs. It was called No More Dead Dogs.
I never read either of those.
Me either.
What? We had to
Yeah.
read them before we went into freshman year.
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh. I read them just because I was like, books. But then once I hit school, then I refused to read any.
I had
I'm
to
ashamed.
read Catcher in the Rye.
Ugh.
Hated it.
Ugh.
And then what was the one about the soldier in World War One? I can't remember it off the top of my
I
head,
don't know.
but it's another one of those like classic novels that you have to read, and I was like, I hated both of the books that I
Yeah.
had to read. But that leads me into one that I wanted to ask you guys about was The Great Gatsby.
Oh gosh, that was a trip.
That
I never read the book, even though it was assigned reading. Like I
Really?
just said, once they told us to read books in high school, I refused to read them because I only ever wanted to read what I wanted to read. And I just, worked my way through those quizzes and managed to not fail, which
that's kind of what I did.
I don't recommend it. I regret it now.
Yes.
But the movie was like, it was just a trip. Like the music selection was like 1920s, roaring 20s, but also rap
Yeah.
and
So that's the interesting
Hip-hop.
thing about that. So I was kind of the same way. If I was assigned to read a book, I would start it. If I didn't like it, I would never finish it. And that's what happened with The Sound of the Fury. And I had to
The Sound
write.
and the Fury, that was good. I actually
I
did read that one.
Hated. I read like the first like 5 pages of it.
Is that the one with the dinosaur where they go back in time?
No.
The Sound of Thunder.
Sound of Thunder.
That's what I'm thinking of. Never
Sound
mind.
of the Fury is the one where like the first. It's written in like 3 different parts, and the first part's written from like a mentally challenged kid, and so it's really hard to read because it's all over the place. And I remember I read like the first 5 pages and I went, nope, shut it, never opened it again. We had an in-class essay on it. I got 100% on that essay by BSing it, and then the teacher used it as an example on how to write an in-class essay. And I turned to my
if your
friend who
teacher's
was like,
listening right now, sorry.
oh, Miss Hanson, I think you should applaud me for how well I listened in your class. It also helped that I was her TA, so I was in her class twice.
Good work.
But on the opposite end was The Great Gatsby. I started reading it, and it was like, read chapters like 1 through 3 or whatever by the end of this weekend. And I sat down and read the entire book that weekend. I liked the book a lot.
And
And the movie I did not like because of that reason of you saying, like, the music really took you out of it and everything.
Yeah.
However, I was talking to somebody about that, and they made a very good point of how it worked with the theme of that time period of like the modernism clashing. And so it was like The Great Gatsby's all about like being modern, partying towards the future, and the music worked well with that, but it didn't work well with being in that mindset of that time period though.
Right.
So the funny thing for me is that I'm kind of in the middle of you two with the books. With The Great Gatsby specifically. I was the same way, Megan. I think freshman year in high school, the first book that we read was Steinbeck, of Mice and Men.
That's a good one.
And I liked that, and I actually read that book, and I actually like Steinbeck. I've read most Steinbeck books, not all, but most. And I enjoyed it. And then the next book we read, I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, I do not care. I want to read what I want to read. Like, I really don't care about this. But I was really good at BSing, so I always got really good grades in class because I was good at faking it. However, then we got to The Great Gatsby, and I remember being like, oh, another assigned reading I don't care about. So I was just like faking it. And then we got to the end of what happened and I was like, wait a minute, this sounds amazing. Why did I read this book? And all of a sudden I was like, hold on. And then we watched the movie, and I'm watching the movie, the old movie, not the Leonardo DiCaprio one. And I was just like, this is a wonderful movie. Why did I read this book? And then I think I tried to read the next book they assigned, and I hated it again, so I went right back to not caring.
Grapes of Wrath. It was probably Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No, I like Grapes of Wrath. It was fine. I don't
What?
care. I didn't mind any of the Steinbecks. Steinbeck I could get into because it's a lot of, he's making a point with almost everything. So I can find his points, and I like his points. I liked his East of Eden, which is really long, but it's a very biblical point. Any more honorable mentions out there?
I have some dishonorable mentions, unless you have some honorable mentions.
I have another one that I'm curious for you guys about, if you guys read it and what you think of the two different adaptations, A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Oh, okay. I saw the movie. I have not read the books, but I actually really want to, and I think they'd be really quick reads because they're pretty.
Yeah,
pretty quick.
I think they're definitely a younger audience,
More middle
one,
grade.
so that if you're okay with putting your mindset back to that, I think it'd be good. I like it because it's a very clever one. It's much like the book I'm reading right now, and I will talk about that when we get to the end of the episode, but where it has a lot of turn of phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Them, and I really like that. I will say I never actually finished the books because there were so many of
And they
them.
took forever to come out.
And
Yeah.
they took forever to come out. So I remember reading them, and I think I got like 6 or 7 books in before I
Halfway.
stopped. Yeah, somewhere in there. And the movie came out, and I liked the movie a lot. And then the Netflix series came out a few years ago. I don't remember how many years ago. And I started watching that, and it didn't follow it exactly, but it gave you enough little like hints towards what the ending is gonna be that I was like, oh, this is good, because this isn't like I'm a little kid watching it. It's like, ooh, I want to figure out what the mystery is.
I never finished it. I watched it came out in a first part, and then there was the second part that was like the ending of it. So I never finished it. So basically, the part that came out was the part that was also shown in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the ending of that part was then the following, like, so I never actually finished them, but I do want to finish the series.
Yeah, I recommend it. And then if you guys do want to go back, it's been years since I've read them, so don't take my word for it, but I do remember it had those like clever turn of phrase things that I really enjoyed. So.
Even just the narrator in the movie and the show was had that kind of like feel to it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the movie, but I watched no, I didn't watch the show, but I watched the movies. The ones that came out first. With
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah.
No, Neil Patrick Harris is
Is
the
the new
show.
one. It was Jim Carrey was the
Jim Carrey. Was
Jim
the
Carrey,
movie.
that's
Was the
right.
movie.
Sorry. Jim Carrey.
Both did a wonderful
Both
job.
are amazing, I'm
they
sure,
did
but
so well.
Yeah.
they're both amazing actors.
And I think both the Violets did awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think all the actors that they chose for both the movie and the show did a great job.
I now want to go back and reread the books. I think it's something that I could enjoy again.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read them and didn't finish them. So it'd be nice to just be able to like power through and read them. Maybe with my son. Maybe I'll read them to him when he gets older.
Awesome.
You can always read your baby a book. You don't
Yeah,
need
it's
to be old
fine.
enough to understand.
He gets a lot of books. He's a very short attention span right now.
He likes to eat the books right now. He
Yeah.
really consumes his literature.
Yeah, he devours it. I'd like to say that I'm pretty proud of us that we made it this far and without talking about Twilight.
Yeah.
What? Oh my god, I can't. Okay. I was literally talking about this with my coworker today during one of our meetings. And like, just the fact that it doesn't even process in my brain because I don't care. I loved the books as they came out. And then like the second they finished, I realized
All the subliminal messaging
They're
in
just-
there and how horrible it was. And
right. Like the second I finished, I didn't even finish the fourth book because it got to like the fight part and I was just like, I'm just so not invested
out,
in
yeah.
this. But the movies were a trip.
I was the demographic they were looking for though. Like when it came out, like when the books came out, Jenna was reading it and then I picked it up and read it. I think I was right at that like 12-year-old stage or whatever, and the movies were coming out. So I was still that demographic that was like, I was the type of kid that I'm like, I don't like anything popular, but I'm gonna have an opinion on it anyways.
I just see you in the corner all glowering like, oh, Twilight.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think for me, it was movies were coming out, and it was another one of those, like one of the first, the movie didn't match the book and I hated it type thing. But then I remember the whole like debate of like Edward versus Jacob type stuff. And at the time, so I had to have been like 12 years old because this is before I really came out. I was like, look, I'm book Edward, but I'm movie Jacob.
I think the best part about the movies is the fact that Robert Pattinson is very vocal about how much he hates the
Oh,
movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Everybody kinda
Anna
is now.
Kendrick is like, wait, I was in those.
Oh gosh, it was a fever dream for everybody involved.
Yes, it really was. And I think the funny part too is like how many people still like the movies that never read the books.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, if you like the movies, I 110% know that you didn't read the books. And if you read the books, I'm 99% certain that you look back and go, oh my God, what did I read?
But then there's still people out there that just love both.
That's true.
They're just
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
absolutely love both. They're diehard Twilight fans, and you know what?
More power
do
to
you.
you.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law watches it. Like that's her comfort movie. She will watch
Yeah.
Twilight all the time, and so almost every time we'd go over, Twilight would be on, and I'd be, really Twilight. But I mean, now it's like it's one of those things that I can sit down and watch it, and I just sit there and like laugh because all I can think about is how vocal Robert Pattinson is about like this guy is awful. I can't believe I took this on, but it made him popular, so good for him.
Yeah. I think the thing is now, like, growing up, I can appreciate that I'm not going to, like they say, I'm not going to yuck your yum.
Yes.
I'm just
Oh my
right.
God, I love that.
I'm not going to be like, ew, you like Twilight?
You say
Yes.
that in such a high school voice.
I
Yeah.
love it.
No, I'm
Ew.
not going to do that anymore, because back when I was younger, I would have been like, oh, gross, you like Twilight? Or like, I would judge people so hard on what they enjoy. Now I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, unless it's something that's very specifically offensive to someone,
Right.
if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Yeah, I might think something's stupid, but that's cool. You like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a thing for everyone, and I love that it's Kyla's like happy movie because I can sit down and it's like it just like takes me back to being in high school and remembering like liking these books as they came out and like, oh, these are such like everyone had something to say about those books.
Oh,
They
yeah,
were such
all the
oh
time.
my gosh, they were such a cultural phenomenon at that time.
Mhm.
And so it's like it's funny how much of an impact those had like growing up. But yeah, I can't believe we made it this far into the podcast without bringing them up.
I'm honestly surprised. It just was not even in my mind.
I honestly kind of avoided it because I was just like, somebody else will bring it up. I got plenty of others.
It's not even on my list. I'm surprised that nobody brought it up.
I didn't put it on my list once again because I figured somebody's going to bring it up at some point.
All right, we got to start kind of wrapping this up. So
Yes.
any more?
Oh, I've got a ton more, so we're going to have to do another episode, I think.
I've honestly said all of mine, and the only dishonorable mention I have is Death Note.
Ooh.
Curious about that.
Okay, not the Japanese movie, because the Japanese movies did pretty good, but the
didn't
American
watch the
Netflix
American
live
one.
action. It was like, okay. It was like someone who had read the synopsis of Death Note told the director, this is what Death Note's about. And they've only read the synopsis. They didn't even read the manga. This is what it's about. And the director's like, I could make that into a movie. And he did. Just from what he knows from that synopsis. And that's what it was.
Oh.
See, I never watched the only thing of
Save
Death
yourself.
Note, like, I read the manga and I watched the Japanese anime.
Yeah.
and
The live action
loved
movies
it.
are fantastic.
I
They're
think
so good.
I think I did watch it, but it was so long ago, and I don't think I liked it as much just because I really liked the anime,
Yeah.
and so it was like watching the movie. I was like, this, why would I watch this? I could watch the anime. But yeah, that's
Yeah, I never watched the American Netflix one either because
You
I
don't
was
need to.
terrified. I was like, no, there's certain things we're just not going to take it. America doesn't need to do it.
They don't need to do it. They really
just
do.
don't.
So I put a question mark next to one because I wasn't sure if we're including comic books and
Oh, yeah.
mangas. V for Vendetta is one of my favorite movies, and it's
Okay.
a DC comic, and I didn't know it was a DC comic until like a couple of years ago when I was rewatching it for the 100th time, and it like said DC Comics on the front of it. I'm like, oh my god! So I now have to go read the comic book because it's one of my favorite movies.
Dang, it's already past November 5th. We should have watched
I
it.
know.
I know.
Would have been
I
a perfect
forgot.
one.
All right.
All right.
Wrap us up.
All right, guys. So, before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about what books we're reading. Marissa, what book are you reading?
Okay, so I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier about how a series of unfortunate events has a kind of turn of phrase in it, and the book I'm reading right now is Murder Your Employer.
I want to read this book so bad.
While you're working, though.
While you're working.
I
of
know.
course.
I wish I had time to read while I work now so I could bring it to work.
Just walk by the office with it in front of you and just go home.
Oh, the best part is I know the person that I'd go to HR for this would love the book too. She dressed up as Wednesday Addams for Halloween, so I love
Perfect.
this lady. But it's definitely one of those super like clever like turn of phrase books. They talk about like it's basically they go to an academy where they teach people how to kill people and get away with it, but it's like only people that really deserve it. And they never talk about murder because that's not the right word. They're deletionists. They delete people. And, like,
Code.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're just codes.
It
to be
reminds me
removed.
a lot of the Finishing School series.
A little bit, yeah.
The way you describe it, at least.
So that's what I'm reading right now. Murder Your Employer.
I love it. Megan, what about you?
I am listening to the audiobook of Babel by R.F. Kuang. And it is fantastic. It is. I was kind of a little worried going into it that it might not live up to like the expectations of what people have said about it, but it is really, really good. It is all about like translation and how there's a story involved as well, but it's like talking about how translation between different languages and how they can utilize it to create magic and stuff. I highly recommend it. It's on the level for me of like the feelings and like the writing style of The Night Circus and The 10,000 Doors of January, and even The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Well,
definitely
that
pick it up.
sells it. Yeah, I'm interested now. I'm reading Iron Flame, because
Everyone is reading Iron
everyone's
Flame.
reading Iron Flame right now. So I love these books, and we'll have to talk about them soon. I'm gonna have to convince Marissa to read them, even though it's
Dragons.
Marissa Dragons. It's
Dragons.
dragons. It's dragons, and it's kind of got that Aragon feel where
Is it
Yeah.
Fourth Wing sequel?
yes,
Yes.
So you just at least have well, no, just read them all. But I want you to read Fourth Wing. But it's got they can hear the dragons in their head and they interact with the dragons. And the dragons are probably the best part, and it's campy and it's fun. So I'm sorry, it's hetero. So no, but I love them. I'm really excited for all of these books. They are going to be fun. I know that makes me basic and like everyone else right now, but it is a good book.
Oh god, you're reading Iron Flame.
You're reading Iron Flame? Oh my gosh.
I love it.
I
Okay.
bet you like ACOTAR too, don't you?
Perfect high
All right.
school.
Jenna, leave us off with a quote.
Okay, so we have one quote. We have one quote.
Just
So we
one.
fixed that, just the one. We have a quote to wrap this up, and it's kind of perfect because it's from Stephen King, who we've brought up multiple times during this podcast. And he says, "Books and movies are like apples and oranges. They both are fruit, but taste completely different."
It's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, bye, guys.
Bye.
Talk to you next time.